So we've just gone through a really hard couple of years with the pandemic. What was your biggest challenge during the pandemic? And were there any positives about it that you're taking forward in how you're doing your advocacy through sport at this point? Chante, I'll start with you.
Okay, so for me, I would say that we, like everyone else, we did not expect the length of the pandemic to go as long as it did. We sat there and made plans and thought, 2 weeks to flatten the curve and, all that fun stuff. I think in hindsight, everybody would have done things differently, but for us, 2020 was a difficult year, and we actually saw that financial need grow very quickly. And that was one of the main reasons we started our organization in 2020, was because when you started to see capacity things happen around the arenas and being able to impact these kids, the cost of everything really went up really fast. So we started and we just said, I don't care how small it is, and let's just start where we are and hopefully grow. And growth can be really fast and growth can be really slow, but we're just going to keep going. I think for us, what happened during the pandemic at the same time with the Black Lives Matter movement is people started listening a lot more. They had a lot more time to listen, I would say. And I think it brought our voices forward when we talked more about equity deserving groups and giving that equity where it was needed. Hockey was one of those things where it was really, really expensive compared to everything else. And like basketball and soccer, and you've seen the growth in Canada, hockey was at a standstill. So learning that resilience through the pandemic and having that idea that we'll just, keep going, that was really all it was. It's like this idea that sports are not bigger than life as a whole, and we want to just keep doing our work. I talked a lot to our partners at the GTHL, and in minor hockey, a lot of people just stopped. They just said, oh, it's the pandemic, and that was just their excuse for not doing anything. And I looked around and, Anthony, my husband, is still on the ice, and he's still doing things, and we're like, how did you stop? If there is still stuff going on everywhere else, why did this work stop specifically? So, especially closer to the end of the pandemic, we were still doing camps, and I know that we had a lockdown last winter right before school ended, and we had a Christmas camp with, 60 kids signed up, and at the last second, we're like, we can't do dryland. We're not even allowed in the gym, and the kids were still gonna show up, and we're like, we're just gonna make it work. We just did what we could and waited for a chance to impact them later. And I think that's the best piece of learning we had during the pandemic, that it didn't matter how big it was, it just mattered that we kept going.